Hey, family and friends, I have another word for this week that I want to share with everyone. Begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. I'm sure you may have heard that already, but it's one of the 7 habits shared by Stephen Covey. And the idea is that every time we start something, we start with the expectation of finishing, completing. Whether it's a project, a college degree, doesn't matter what it is. Even a marathon runner, when they start their race, they start with the expectation, with the hope of finishing and finishing strong. And so it is with life. Life is like a race that we have to run. And when we begin the race of life, the idea, the expectation is that we're going to run successfully, we're going to run to the end, and we're going to finish strong. There are times, however, where life is not easy and things happen and we get frustrated and we get burdened and we get tired and feel like quitting, really feel like quitting. And it's hard. Life gets hard. Sometimes we don't even think that we're going to finish, that we're going to be successful at what we set out to do. Sometimes there's some goals that we haven't accomplished and we're so far off from achieving the goal that we think that we never will achieve that goal. And so I want us to listen to what Paul says to the early Christians who also felt hopeless and may have felt tired and just felt like giving up. In Hebrews chapter 12, I want to begin with verse 1. He really gives them some strategies and a guide for winning the race of life. You know, when God sets a course for us, especially when we are in relationship with the Lord and he sets a course for us, there's a course that we've got to travel, right? There's a road that we've got to travel. But as I said, there are times when you just feel like you're not successful, you're not completing, you're not achieving. Here's what Paul says in Hebrews 12, verse 1. He says, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, right? And so Paul is really speaking of an important truth, an important requirement that I want all of us to really understand, and that is that we cannot run with weights. So don't run with weights. What am I talking about? He says, throw off. Throw off suggests that we have some things on, right? And those things that we have on, they're hindering us. And then there's some sins in our lives that are easily entangling us. So I want to talk about what that means, right? When we talk about weights, we know that weights are heavy. And weights can block us and they can be burdensome and cause us to be delayed. And these weights can be our internal as well as our external struggles. So there are people in our lives that we just got to throw off, that we've got to release ourselves from. There's some environments, there's some practices that we've got to remove or stop from continuing in our lives. These are things that burden us down, that makes us heavy. And you know, any runner, that they need to be light in order to run the race and run it effectively. Can I tell you that there's some things in our lives that easily beset us or entangle us, and those are things that come naturally for us. There's some sins that we just can't let go of. There's some habits, there's some ways about us, right, that comes naturally, but they are weights. And so what am I talking about? Jealousy is a weight. Unforgiveness is a weight. Bitterness is a weight. Gossiping is a weight. Indulging our fleshly desires, those are weights that hinders us from moving forward. It stops us from making progress. And there's sometimes in our lives when we think we should have been farther along and we're not. It's like, how come I haven't gotten this far? That's because there's some weights that are preventing us from moving forward. And so that's why Paul is saying, let us throw off everything that hinders us, that blocks us, that deters us, and the sin that so easily entangles us. And you know what it means when you're entangled? It's like you can't move. You're restrained, you're constrained. And so the Holy Spirit helps us to relieve ourselves of these things, to throw them off so that we will be able to run. And so what am I saying today? Let us identify those things that will either prevent us from completing or delay us from completing or achieving. We got to identify them. And then when we know, like, this is on me, I got to get unforgiveness off me. I got to get this bitterness inside of me, the anger, losing one's temper. There's some stuff about us that comes naturally that we're inclined to do. But we have to identify it. And that's what the word helps us to do. Identify those things. And then what do? Throw them off. Throw them off. Let's lighten our load. There's some people that have been with us too long and they weigh us down. There's some relationships that we're involved in it's too much weight and we can't move forward. So let us begin with the end in mind, but know that there is hope and that you will complete, you will achieve that destiny. Yes, purpose, yes, is still in sight, but we've just got to make sure that we're doing what Paul admonished the early Christians to do. Just throw aside the weight, throw off the things that easily beset us, that hinders us, and let's run this race of life. God bless you today, and I hope this word has helped you.